Hello, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Wednesday episode of the Reignmakers Fantasy Golf Show presented by DraftKings. Reignmakers, we are 2 weeks away from the FedEx Cup playoffs. We've got the 3M Open this week. We've got a mediocre field. We have just about every golfer ranked in the FedEx Cup from 70 to 85, vying, playing, trying to move into that top 70, going to be so crucial for the next couple of weeks. We just saw Justin Thomas commit to the Wyndham next week. I just saw Shane Lowry commit to the Wyndham next week. Another name, Gary Woodland, commit to the Wyndham next week. These guys are vying to get into the FedEx Cup playoffs. All the money is on the line. Just getting into the playoffs is what you want to do. You'll play a 70-person field event and then try to move from, if you're in 51st to 70th, you'll try to move during that tournament into the top 50. Then the BMW will play as a 50-person event where if you're sitting 31st to 50th, you'll try to move into the top 30, and then the top 30 will play at Eastlake for the Tour Championship for some absurd amount of money. I believe it's still $10+ million to the winner of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Should be a really, really fun stretch over the course of the next 5 weeks, including the 3M this week, the Wyndham next week, sweating, making some decisions, making some sell decisions potentially. I looked at my account today, looked at some of the golfers who I had that are on the cusp. None other than Adam Scott, sitting at 80th, is certainly not in the top 70 at 80, isn't playing this week. Don't know that he's playing next week. Haven't heard. Think it would be pretty tough for him to only play next week and move up 10 spots. He would certainly need to put up a top 10 finish. So I listed him for sale. If he doesn't play this week or next week, certainly not going to play the playoff events. I don't think he'll be playing the Ryder Cup. So I think it might be time to liquidate some assets when you can. If there's buyers out there, notice some of the buys for Adam Scott have been very interesting. There was a $60 buy, but then there was a $145 buy. So now's the time to take a look at your portfolio, sort of reassess what you currently want to do, what you currently are chasing, what are your goals. Again, Reignmakers is a game where your goals kind of can change week by week. Maybe you're hunting down a top prize because you already broke even ROI, or maybe you're already in the green and you're trying to buy some assets that are going to help you put together the best ceiling lineups for the playoffs. Or maybe you're just trying to claw back some of your investment. That's where I'm at. Still trying to claw back, still trying to get to somewhere around break even. Have done fairly well over the course of the last couple of weeks doing so. So just need to keep the train on the tracks and keep marching. Still some big events left. Still 10+ golf tournaments left here for DraftKings Reignmakers. We'll talk a little bit about the fall schedule over the course of the next couple of weeks. Saw some commentary in the DraftKings Discord asking about some fall swing golfers, people that I like. These fall events are going to be, the events where all the rookies are playing, guys that are trying to just keep their card are playing. The fields are going to be certainly of lesser quality, but I still think there's going to be some significant pricing up for grabs. So maybe there'll be some cheap opportunities to buy in on some of these guys, whether they come from the wired set or from the marketplace. So we'll keep an eye on that over the next couple of weeks. But today I want to do 3M Open. I'm going to build my teams. I'm going to go through your questions. And then I also want to talk FedEx Cup playoffs. I want to look at a couple of guys, look at what might be some of who I think is the best buys as we head into the next couple of weeks. Shout out to the chat, JM Stogie, JM Josh Allen, two guys, literally the models of consistency. These guys always say JM, literally at 2:00 when the show starts. So appreciate you guys for being here. Shout out Poker Pro Eric. Justin Thomas will miss the cut. I think JT is doing everything in his power to earn his spot in Captain Zach Johnson's eyes for the Ryder Cup. Ryder Cups mean a lot to these guys. Ryder Cups are probably some of the most fun events that these guys get to play in. You play for country, you play for pride, you play for glory and not money. You play against, you play for patriotism. You play against Europe, or if you're European, you play against the USA. The history of the Ryder Cup is fantastic. One of the best events in golf. So it should be really fun. I do think that JT will be on the Ryder Cup team. I think he has been saying everything that demonstrates that he has this sort of mental edge that he's maybe coming out of, or maybe leveraging to come out of like a mental fog. We'll see. You saw a lot of quotes from like guys like Rory. I saw also a quote, and it's so hard to tell on golf Twitter these days what's real and what's not real. I saw Tony Finau had a quote on Justin Thomas. I presume he was asked a very direct question about what does Tony Finau think about Justin Thomas. Quite frankly, Tony has enough in his own game to worry about in terms of continuing to play really, really well, continuing to try to get on that Ryder Cup team. So yeah, it'll be very interesting. But yeah, a lot of conversation about JT this week. Top 70 is hard. Yes, completely agree. Top 70 is very hard. I was actually looking at the, and we'll pull this up. But I mean, if you don't have a win, you need like 5 top 10 performances this season to be in the top 30. You need like 2 or 3 to be in the top 70. So you really need to be playing consistent golf and putting yourself at the top of the leaderboards to have a chance to play in the playoffs. So, I mean, a win this week or a win next week for, some of these guys in that 70 through 100 range is going to really ramp them up the board. So winning the 3M, winning the Wyndham means a ton. So definitely going to be interesting there. So he says, looking for gated contest lineup advice. Assume I can play anyone that I want. How different are you getting in that contest? Still Cam Young at captain or switch it up? Yeah, I think this is a great question. I am playing the rare gated contest this week as well. And I will show you the team that I built to put in that contest. Let me zoom in here. How's that looking? A little bit better. Okay. Yeah. So here's what I'm doing in this gated contest. Adam Hadwin, captain. Keith Mitchell, JT Poston. My guy, Dylan Wu, has been in a little bit of a funk, but I really like his game. I like him in fields like this where there's a couple of guys at the top. He needs to chase down and play better. But I like the way his game sets up here. So I like Dylan Wu, and then I'm going Sepp Straka to play up. I have pretty much the option to play up who I want from core. Where do I want to go to show that? Yeah. So I could play up Hideki. I could play up Cam. But I'm going to play up Sepp Straka. I really like Sepp Straka's form. I like the way his game sets up for this place. So I like Straka a good bit. So I'm playing up Straka in that lineup as the core that I'm playing up. I don't think you need to get that different though. Let's take a look. I was building some fantasy lineups. So let's take a look at Reignmakers and see number of entrants in that contest right now. It's a great week for DFS too. I want to build a DFS team or two, show you guys what my thoughts are DFS wise. 246 in this contest. We know that it will get more than that. Probably will get to 600, 700, 800, I would think, somewhere around there. So yeah, I think you don't have to get that different. The question is just if you believe that Cam Young is going to be able to back up his performance from last week. I'm hesitant. I'm really hesitant. I think these courses where you need to make birdies, I think Cam's putter just isn't reliable enough. But is he going to be that owned in this contest? Guys like Finau or Matsuyama are going to be pretty high owned, I think. So I think Young would be perfectly fine at captain, in my opinion. So just my take there. JM Glib. I know Glib had a great question on who do I think outside of the top 30 has a shot to ramp up into the playoffs and into the tour championship. I believe that was the question. Let me make sure I got it. Yeah, top 30. So he wants to know who from maybe the top 70 can jump up and get into this this core of golfers in the top 30 make their way into the Tour Championship. Let's take a look at who's in there first. You got Rahm at the top of the board, Scotty, Rory, Homa, Clark. Harman vaults his way up there with a win at the Open last week. Victor, Keegan. And as you can see, these are wins here in this column, and then these are top 10s. Like I said, I mean, these guys have played incredibly good golf. Ricky, 8 top 10s, just insane. Finau, he hasn't played great as of late, but he has 2 wins in the PGA Tour season this year. So he's sitting top 10. Very interesting. Not as many top 10s, but 2 wins is going to vault you up the board. So, the likely big names are there. I talked about Sepp Straka. He's here. I also like Sepp as a guy that can play well in the playoffs. I said that on Monday's show. Someone who seems to play the playoff courses pretty well. So I think he's pretty sneaky. I like Hatton a good bit. It's going to be hard to find a guy that you don't like in the top 30. They're all playing great golf. They've all got wins or great consistent top 10 finishes. It's a matter of, can they put not only 4 rounds together, but 12 rounds together. You need to play 3 playoff events, and you need to play well in all 12 rounds. There's going to be serious fluctuation in the leaderboard movement. So you need to play well for, what is 3 straight weeks. So who do I think outside of the top 30 currently that can make a run? I really like Patrick Rogers. We'll go guys first, and then we'll take a look at pricing. I like Patrick Rogers, been playing really good. I still think he has this pedigree that is untapped in terms of getting a win. And he's getting closer and closer. He finished second in a playoff last week to Akshay Bhatia. So I like Patrick Rogers a good bit. Coming down further, I still like Eric Cole, Alex Smalley playing with some confidence. But in terms of big names, yeah, I think you're right. When you think about Sahith, I think about Fitzpatrick. You come down a little further, you got Hideki, and this is who Glib called out, Hideki. Can Hideki make enough birdies is going to be the question. Certainly think he hits it well enough. Certainly think his form has been pretty good. Played pretty well at the Open. Plays better at harder events. So, yeah, I think Hideki is a decent shot. Somebody that has really high ceiling that could run up. Guys like Aaron Rai, Eckroat. I still think Keith Mitchell as well. So yeah, those would be the names that stand out to me. Mitchell, Eckroat, Rai, Matsuyama, Smalley, Cole. Yeah, I just don't know that I'm there on Cam Young. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel. I'm interested. What do you guys think about Cam Young? I just don't know that the putter is going to cooperate enough. I like Patrick Rogers. I think Sanjay is also really interesting this week. And then I believe I saw, let's see, is Sanjay someone who committed? Yeah, so Sanjay commits next week as well at the Wyndham alongside Justin Thomas. Tom Kim withdraws, but Shank, McCarthy, Kirk, Russ Henley, Sanjay, Brendan Todd, all looking to run up the leaderboard alongside Shane Lowry and Gary Woodland, who, jumping back here, Shane Lowry, Gary Woodland, they're both outside the top 70, just right outside it. Where is... Sorry. Oh, that's the 3M. Sorry, let's go here. Yeah, Shane Lowry sitting at 73, JT 75. A lot of these guys trying to move up the board. Matt Wallace in the field this week. Higo in the field this week. Cam Davis in the field this week. Justin Suh. JT in the field both this week and next week. Hodges in the field this week. Yeah, so these guys are all looking to move up. So you can tell they're playing for keeps. But yeah, those would be the names that I like. Then you jump back here. Let's go players and say no there. So who did we go with? Well, Matsuyama, Rogers. I guess let's go yes, because we can see where they are. $45 for an elite. Patrick Rogers, $5 for a rare. He's basically in. Where's Rogers at? Let's see. Rogers. Yeah, he's 38th right now. So he's definitely going to play in the first event. Not going to fall 20 spots, I don't think, unless something catastrophic happens. So, I mean, I think that's a great buy. Very, very interesting to see some of these numbers play out and to see where people are thinking. What's the deal with Sanjay M? Yeah, it's a great question. I think Sanjay M is a good play this week because the course sets up well. The guy who's going to win this week is going to be the guy that keeps his ball out of the water. Water plays on 15 holes. And shout out Rick Run Good. Shout out Andy Lack. Love Andy's write-ups on golf courses every week. 15 holes, water is in play. And it's the tournament with the most water balls on the PGA Tour. So keeping your ball out of the water and trying to not make the big number when and if you do find the water is probably the most important thing. And Sanjay just hits it really well off the tee, incredibly accurate with his irons, plays really well in these events with a lot of water in play. I want to say like the Honda has played really well at. So I like Sanjay this week if he can keep his form from the Open. The question is, at the Open, did something click? Because before the Open, he was downright atrocious. So yeah, I think Sanjay is really interesting. And clearly, playing now, playing next week. So clearly making a run at trying to figure out how to get himself into the field. I think Sanjay's very, very interesting this week. I also noticed that, let's go to the odds here. I also noticed that these odds continue to be moving at the top of the board. First, Tony Finau was up here at the top with plus 1,600. We've seen him fall down. Hideki was down here plus 1,800 or even plus 2,000. And I've seen Sanjay pretty consistent at that plus 1,800. I've seen Cam Young at the top of the board. So there's definitely some movement at the top of the board here. And as TJ and I talked about on Monday, I don't think there's really that strong of a case that you need to make for anybody at the top of the board here. I can come down to Grillo and Straka and make a case for both these guys in terms of recent form, playing better than all four of these guys at the top here. So I do think it's the kind of event where you don't have to go at the top, but if you have guys at the top, you're playing them. At least that's what I'm doing. And then, letting their pedigrees speak, letting these golfers go out, do their thing against the field that is as mediocre as this field is. So I think that's pretty interesting. All right. Glib says Lowry's interesting. Lowry is very interesting. Let's look at pricing on Lowry. Cause I think with him playing next week, and not this week, like 750 for a rare. It probably pretty good gamble in my opinion on that 750. Clearly wants to play the playoff events. If he's opting into playing the Wyndham, only needs to move up what is 3 spots. Only needs to move up 3 spots, which is, not that many points. You look at the points and how it's, distributed, it's 100 points. He needs to move up 100 points. So top 10 finish, and he definitely could get there. So it'll be quite interesting to follow Shane Lowry next week for certain. All right. What other questions did you guys have? Let's get some questions out of the way early. Clear this up. Whoops. Where are we going here? Let's go back to the player's view. I think before we get into your questions, quickly, I think keeping an eye on your collection right now is really important. I've been keeping an eye on this low ask. I know a lot of conversation in the Discord about, hey, if you could sell off, would you do so? I'm just not confident that the low ask is really the market price for some of the assets. It'll be really interesting for me to test the Adam Scott market. Like I listed it like $2 or $3 under floor. But the offer is significantly under the top offer, significantly under the floor of what the listings are. I think it's like $110 floor versus $35 offer. So I do think it's very interesting to keep an eye on the low ask and where there's some liquidity, because if you want to get out of some of your assets, you're going to have to sell at under the low ask and possibly selling under the low ask at a pretty significant rate. So I think that's very interesting. I also think it's very interesting in terms of, if you're out there, if you're positive, if you've got a solid ROI, people might be trying to get out of these assets, and putting in offers can get you 10, 20, 30% discounts probably at times. So I do think, trying to be diligent in terms of your purchases right now is really smart. So know that there's probably going to be more sellers than buyers through the rest of the Rainmaker season. Just a gut feeling from me, but I think that's pretty interesting to think about. So keep an eye on your collection. Start to think about making some moves. Make the best choices for you. For me, I'm still hunting down the upside of these next 5 events of the top prizing in Elite when I can, and playing the gateds and trying to get the best experience out of the rest of Rainmakers. So we'll be testing the market a little more than we have throughout the season, but I really am gunning for trying to put lineups at the top of the board. Finished 28th last week, so in Elite gated. So been doing pretty well. TSI 24220 says Hideki or Cam Young at captain. You guys have heard me already question Cam Young a few times on the show. I'll just respond to him and I'll say, give me Hideki most every time there. Yes, good call up by Glib here. Lowry will be Ryder Cup. So he will play Ryder Cup Europe, which again bodes well for him if he's able to move up into for at least the first playoff event. And Lowry, just one of those guys who has pedigree. There's guys who, like, similar to the cut line, when they need a result, they can get a result. If you need to go make 2 birdies in the last 8 holes to make a cut, there's top 30 golfers in the world that just know how to get things done. Lowry is one of those golfers, in my opinion. He has the pedigree of just about everybody, has won big time events, knows his game. Golf is certainly variant, but if I have a lot of confidence that with Lowry in the field wanting to play well, he'll know exactly, his team and him will know exactly what he needs to get into these events, and that's what they'll be shooting for, which course management, knowing what you're gunning for, knowing why you're playing is as important as, going out there and rattling off birdies and trying to win in certain instances. So I do think it's important to think through those kind of things as well. And Lowry's the guy just strikes me as someone that can do that. So I like him. I like him a good bit. Yeah, let me respond here in Discord. Give me Hideki. And I think it's because of Cam Young's putter. I think it's probably the biggest question mark, in my opinion. Clearly, Young put on a Scotty-like performance last week at the Open. Absolutely awesome off the tee, awesome on approach, awesome ball striking. Just couldn't get the short game in the putter to cooperate enough in that Sunday round to do much to chase down Harman. And I think that when the pressure is on, it's in those biggest moments that you need to lean on the putter. And I think it's a pretty hard club for Cam Young to lean on. All right. What do we want to look at? Let's look at some of the teams that I built. Shout out DraftKings. I opened up a DraftKings ticket. So actually, let's go there first, see if it popped in here. I was wondering if I was going to do a Tuesday or a Wednesday drive to get my lineup submitted. Ended up going last night. I was only potentially not going because I'm waiting on a DFS pack. I don't know if you guys are waiting on a DFS pack. I won the gated contest in DFS for the Greens Pass, but I haven't got my pack yet. Not sure what's happening there. I saw some chatter in the DraftKings Discord also about like restricted location and couldn't drop the packs potentially. So got a ticket open with DraftKings. They said should get the packs at some point today. So if we have that pack, it's an elite pack. So it's a good one. I want to open it, see if that changes my lineups at all. But let's dive into my lineups for now. We'll go through some of my top decisions. You guys saw on Monday, let TJ build my top lineup because he built my lineup last week and we finished 28th. So helped alongside his guidance and then trying to make any final tinkers here if I want to let that lineup play, but I don't think we're going to touch it. We got Emiliano Grillo captain, Hideki and Tony Finau round out the elites. Gary Woodland, and then Cam Young. So it is a pretty chalky lineup. It is pretty heavy at the top of the odds board. Gary Woodland really the only difference in terms of what that looks like. And yeah, if you look, it's Hideki, Cam Young, Finau, Grillo, and then coming down to that 3,500 range for Gary Woodland. So it is definitely chalky. I think it's a fine lineup, though. If it's duped, it's duped, and so be it. But I definitely think it's perfectly fine. And for some reason, I want to take a look at this as well. I am getting the sense that maybe this field ends up being a bit smaller in terms of some of the contests here. Definitely smaller thus far in terms of the gated. But no, it appears that the elite guarantee and the rare guaranteed still pretty full up. 1.7. This will certainly push 2K. This rare guarantee or rare GTD guaranteed already up over 5K, which is more than we've seen, I believe, in recent weeks. So definitely still pretty strong contests, which is why I like those gated contests. Again, pays to 13 places. But when you hit, you're hitting either the experience, which is like $2,500 plus dollars, or the $500 prize, which in the rare contest, if you just take a look at pricing for the guaranteed, only 3 places pays $500. This week, the gated contest, 13 places paying at least $500. So I definitely think like the differences there. All right. What else do we want to get to? Let's go back to my teams. Where did we go here? Whoops. All right. So my second lineup, I actually really like the second lineup as well. JT Poston, I like Poston this week. Think he's playing for playoff positioning. He's strong odds in this field, played well last week at the Open. I like Poston, Hodges, Svensson, Grayson Sigg, someone who has some pretty good course history. And then Tom Hoge, someone who I really like early on in the season. I was really all over Hoge around the Masters and liked having him in my portfolio early. It just hasn't panned out this year. But hoping Hoge can get it fully turned around. And in a field like this, I think he can fare well. So I like Hoge a little bit in this field as well. All right. Let's go down. We already talked through the gated contest. And frankly, this is my best rare team. And it's just how I play it. I think elite guaranteed and everything elite first, and then rare gated, and then rare everything else. So beyond that, I've got some just like dart throw rare teams: KH Lee, Svensson, Noren, Mackenzie Hughes, Aaron Rye. Taking really the cards that I own and just firing into the guaranteed contest. That's just been, again, my approach. Not sure if you guys are out there playing anything different. I know Stogie has pointed out the single entry. And maybe one of these teams I flipped to the single entry. I did take a look at that last week, and I do like some of the single entries. A little bit more upside in terms of pricing, if I believe, but you really got to hit. So I think that's interesting. The thing about the single entries that kept me away from them early or in the middle of the season was everyone was really playing really good cards. Most of the top of the odds board, and for me, I'd rather just fire my top of the odds board cards into the guaranteed. Gives you a bit higher ceiling in terms of potential cashes. And with less payouts in the single entries, I just sort of opted to avoid. So that's been my play thus far. And then at core, you guys know at core, I kind of think core, you just need to play for fun. It's about running up the leaderboard. It's about trying to play the best cards together and trying to get sort of unique. It's really, really hard. I mean, let's look at core. There's probably, there's 17,000 lineups in this core contest. Winning this contest quite difficult. 3,000 places paid, but you're only paying $5 all the way up to 825th place. 1,000 to first is still a really nice prize. Just really hard to beat out 17,000 teams. So, I fire most everything into core guaranteed, mostly for the sweat equity of what that has to offer. Shout out Barrick again, always running the 24-hour state of the contests in our Discord and trying to give people a good look at contest selection. And again, for me, most of the time firing GTD cash contests. All right, let's go build a DFS team. Any other questions? Can keep it relatively short and sweet this week. Gave some guys that I liked for the playoffs. I really think you guys got to be on this PGA Tour site, looking at these golfers, making some smart buying decisions. Who can run this down? Um, who's going to play 3 events and give you the best utility in these playoff contests? Going to be pretty fun. So I would say start making your buys, start trying to round up your rosters today, this week, next week, and then, be ahead of everyone that's going to wait until that final week before the top 70 go off at the FedEx St. Jude Championship. All right, let's build some DFS teams. I think it's a great DFS week. We don't usually focus DFS on this show. I really like the way DFS sets up. I already built some teams. And I'll talk through what contests I'm playing in DFS. I'm always trying to play 10% of the prize pool to first. So if it's a 50K prize pool, 5K to first, and then, pretty much 20, if I can get to 20, 25% of the field paid out seems to be the best for me. I built a couple of teams already. My favorite team that I built is just fading the top of the board. So it's this team on the left, Grillo and Straka together. I like it. It'll be somewhat chalky, but less chalky than like Hideki or Hideki Finau. And then playing some other guys in this mid tier that I really like: Rogers, Hubbard, Tom Hoagie. I talked about Harry Higgs. I like the way his history lines up at this course, and with the salary cap, you have to find guys in that low price. So I like Harry Higgs. He's gonna have literally 0 ownership. So let's go build at least one more. And the contest I've been playing is this $10. It's the 18 max $10 contest. Let's go to $10. I like it because of the structure. I like it because it's multi-entry. I play the single entry contest as well. TJ's talked about this on the show, and I think it's very, very important to think through. Where'd they go? Here we go. The full round specials, the 50K prize pool, almost filled, 4,500 out of 50. And still a good way just to run, actually. And again, I talked about it. 50K prize pool, 5K to first, 25 to second. So you're still playing for the top 5 here. Top 10 is really good for $10 entry, getting $500 paid out. I like playing these contests. I also like, if you can, playing like the $1, the $5, you're going to just play against lesser competition, less guys that are multi-entering, less guys that are just maxing everything. So in my opinion, while it's fun to fire the $25 for 100K to first, it's just really hard to play against, everybody that's 150 maxing, and all the best players are playing those contests. So trying to play lesser contests, in my opinion, is pretty sharp. $1, $2, $3. And then for me, I like the $10. And if I play anything higher than that, if I'm playing like $33, $88, I'm usually playing single entries. And what I was getting around to is TJ has mentioned this on the show, where in single entry, a lot of people are fine playing chalk, and maybe the play in single entry is to just play a lot of the guys that none of the guys that everyone else is playing, which kind of makes it not as fun as TJ has said. But I do think it's interesting to think about golf, think about variance, and just embrace that while you're not playing the quote unquote best plays, you're getting different in certain spots. And maybe you have one chalk play that you play, but you get different elsewhere. So I think it's pretty interesting. Anyways, let's build a new team from scratch. And I want to know what you guys like. What do you build? Let me know who you're liking. If you're building DFS teams, how do you start? For me, I'm going to start this team again with, let's go one guy in the 10K range and pair him with my guy Grillo. So we'll start a little top heavy, Grillo, and then one guy 10K and above. I don't know who do you guys like? I obviously don't like Cam Young. I'm on Finau. If Finau's going to have the less ownership between Matsuyama and him, defending champ, seems like he's going to have less ownership. So, my click would be Finau. Interested to hear what you guys think. And then, we've got 7,400, so we've got to get cheap. We need some guys in this low range. I like a couple of these guys. KH Lee, I like a good bit. Couple other guys that should be popular. I like Grayson Sig. Let's go Sig in this lineup. I think he'll be pretty under-owned, if I had to guess. Bumps us up to 7,500. I also played a Callum Tarrant share. Callum Tarrant, I believe, was 7th last year in this event. Certainly no one's going to play him. He's like very boom busts. If he plays well, he has a chance to top 10. He could finish literally dead last. So I like the boom bust play there. And then we need some middling guys here to fill this lineup out. This is why I really like, and I keep coming back to this Rogers, Poston, Hubbard, even this Vincent Norman range. This like low 8,000 range to me is where my eyes are attracted to. I think a lot of guys are going to go like one of these guys at the top and then come down to this like Hadwin, Thigala, Mitchell range. Of course, P. Rogers is always in there. But guys like Hubbard and Poston, I think, should be a little less owned. So it should be interesting to see how ownership pans out. I haven't really played a ton of DFS, but I really love the game theory of DFS. So I listen to a ton of the DFS content out there. Guys talk about ownership, best plays. Adam Shank, like some Adam Shank, and Shez Reavy, like some Shez Reavy. I have no idea pricing on Shank, but no, Shank. Yeah, Shank. I don't think we got Shank here, but we do have Reavy. Shez at 73. Let's go a little Shez. Can go all the way up to 82 here. We talked about Lucas Glover. I think he will be a little more chalky. I'm in this contest, I'm more likely to leave some salary on the table. So I'm actually going to go with my guy, Aaron Rye here. I think Rye has tons of upside. We'll leave 300 salary on the table and we'll fire this team in. It'll be a nice sweat. I'll post on Twitter the team drafted here for DFS and follow along on the DFS side of things and not just Reignmakers this week. All right, coming back to the check. Stogie said, I thought Glib actually said this. I got your PFPs mixed up for a quick second. He says it was a joke. Of course it was a joke. Adam Shank, I mean, literally horrible last week. I still like Adam Shank. And I tend to have some affinities to guys who I click a lot. Got some Shank in my portfolio. So we're sticking with Adam Shank. I think should be good to make the playoffs. Where's Shank at on this playoff list? Yeah, 22. I mean, as solid of a chance as he's going to have to make the tour championship at 22. So we're still pulling for Adam Shank to play some really good golf. It's hard to transition from golf on the PGA Tour in the Americas, where you get a lot of the standard layouts where you can make 10, 15, 20 birdies in a week. And then all of a sudden you go over to Scotland, you go over to the UK, you go over to England, and you're playing in the rain, in the wind, you're playing links courses, you're hitting putter from 20, 30 yards away, you're faced with a ton of shots that, pop bunkers, things like that. So we'll chalk it up to some experience for Adam Shank in the Open Championship. But it was a good joke. I would have known that it was a joke if I saw that it was Stogie. For some reason, I thought it was Glib. Glib liked Reavy, so we fired some Reavy in there. All right. Any other questions? Pop in. I saw some people posting some shout out AFC Angelo. He's printing out. This is dedication. Printing out the FedEx Cup standings, putting his Reignmakers own ownership on top of it in a printout. I love it. Talk about using old school methodology in order to play some fantasy golf. I like it. I like it. Staring down your teams and lineups all workday long. Nothing quite like it. Of course, you could do a lot of this digitally. Head on over to our site, otmnft.com, and get over there into the Reignmakers tools. Should help you not only make your best teams with a lineup tool, but also take a look at things like the FedEx Cup playoffs, making smart buys, putting in some offers, and getting out from underneath some of your portfolio, like me in this Adam Scott. We'll see if this Adam Scott sells. Should be quite interesting to see if that happens. All right. I don't think I've got anything else for this week. I am taking a look at the Blitz golf entries. There's always some solid activity as soon as Blitz opens. Shout out to all of you in that contest. But if you don't know, otmnft.com/Blitz Fantasy. There is a 99 gold contest open for the 3M, 25 entries in there. All the gold goes to the prize pool. A lot of people having some fun with Blitz. So get on over there if you want a little additional sweat equity this week alongside not only your Reignmakers teams, not only your DraftKings DFS teams, but also your OTM Blitz teams as well. All right, I think that'll do it. Quick show this week. Best of luck. See you all on the leaderboard. And of course, talk to you on Monday. All right, go. See you later. Talk to you in Discord.